In this tutorial, we're going to start working on creating some clothes for our characters. So in this tutorial, we're going to jump from Zbrush to Maya, and we're going to learn how to use basically a quad tool to create a very low mesh t-shirt. And then we're going to start working on this and creating the arms and so forth, and then show you how to save this as an object and then import it into ZBrush and append it so it sits directly on our character. All right, so this is kind of a rough look at what we're going to work on. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to go ahead and open up ZBrush, and I'm going to bring up a default character. That one that always pops up that we never use and we always hide. We're actually going to use it today. Usually we're trying to hide it, but today we're actually going to use it. So go to ZBrush, you see what's available. It's taking a while to load up because I'm using the recording. So when you go to Tools, so there's all kinds of other things, alphas. Also you can download other alphas too. But today we're just going to use a tool, and we're going to use this character, human character right here. Just kind of click it once, and you want to make sure it shows up here. I'm going to click it twice, and then make sure it shows up. All right, and again, on my computer it's so small, it stretches out, so I can really hide this. Such a pain. I'm sure there's a hotkey I don't know about. So we're going to move this back in place. So this is a male character that we're going to throw in, and all we're doing is basically using this as a template to create character's shirt. Alright, he's in a standard kind of a T pose with his hands, palms facing down. So I'm going to go ahead and click on here, hit shift, and I'm going to go ahead and hit my edit tool. And again, all we're doing is using this as kind of an armature. So it does have a skeletal in it. Some of the stuff we're going to go ahead and delete. In your subtool, open that up, and I'm just going to select the skull, and we're just going to hit delete. I'm not really worried about the eyeballs, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this and try to make it as simple as possible. Delete, okay. We definitely don't need a box there. Right? So we have this character, and again, we're not going to spend too much time in ZBrush. There is a quad tool in ZBrush, which is fantastic, but I also want to get you guys used to jumping in and out of Maya. Alright, so what we're going to do is go ahead and export this out. So make sure we have it selected, and let's go ahead and hit export. Alright, so you can do an OBJ. Unfortunately, when you do an OBJ, sometimes it'll rip the character's body into maybe 4 or 8 sections. So I want it nice and clean. There is a GoZ feature in the lab here, so unfortunately my computer doesn't do it, so I'm just going to kind of go old school. So I'm going to hit Maya, and I'm going to go call ahead Amen, and replace it. That's what I was working on earlier. So we're going to go ahead and open up Maya. Oops. And do not open up the wrong Maya. Sorry about that. So let's open up the old one. Okay, so we're going to kind of ditch this one. I'm going to do a new scene. Okay, and I'm going to actually open up the A-Man. Okay. This huge character. I'm going to go ahead and hit A. And again, all we're worried about is the upper part of his body. Alright, so we're going to start working on quad dog, and you saw kind of the image that I was working from, or the mesh. It's a very, very simple t-shirt. Once we bring that back into Maya, we can go up on the poly count and really start sculpting it out so it looks like it's draping on the form of the body. Alright, so what we want to do is go ahead and go over here to our tool settings. Okay, so this one looks like a stack of papers for this. And so what we're going to do is, what we're interested in is the quad wall right here. All right, so what we're going to do is go ahead and select it. And right here, I'll make this live. This little, basically a little magnet. We're going to click on it. It makes this object or this mesh live, so we can actually quad draw on it. All right, so we're going to click on it. And a couple things in Maya, Alt, if you go hold down Alt and left mouse, you can spin around, and Alt middle can oscillate. So don't want to scroll in and out, but Alt and right will zoom in and out. You can do it with the middle mouse, but I'd really like you guys to get used to Alt and middle mouse to move around, and Alt left and right to get around. Okay, it's going to be a little bit different interface than ZBrush. It takes a while to get used to. All right. So we have our quad trawl active, and our object is live. So what we want to do is go ahead and try to get this in the center as best as possible. So we're going to go ahead and start clicking. You just click with your left mouse and then hold down your shift, and you'll see a polygon appear. So we're just going to keep doing this. Your first one's not going to come out good, so we're going to practice this over and over today. I just want you guys used to, this is basically called retoping, and when the character becomes very high polygon count, we'll may have to do this, retope your character and then bring it back into Maya or some other software to make the normal map. Okay, and that'll basically allow us to put a high mesh into a low poly so we can put it into a game engine and stuff like that. Alright, so as you're making your mesh, again, your Alt is your friend, kind of move this around, and once you hover over one of these vertices, or these points, or these intersections, you can move it and adjust it. Alright, so what we're doing is just kind of make sure, just nice clean lines. We don't want them to kind of zigzag up and down. Alright, Alt, and we go ahead and start pulling this down kind of the shape of the shirt. Right. So we'll go ahead, keep going around. Okay, so we'll just go all up around. And after I do the whole thing, I'm just going to kind of make a vest, but you kind of get the idea of how you could extend this out to the arm. Just keep drawing and then making the quad. Right. First, I would just keep it simple. Don't do a lot of geometry. Just keep the geometry simple here. So that's our neckline. So let's go ahead and pull this up. Like so. Again, like I said, you want to keep everything quads. This will keep it quad, but you don't want triangles in it. You want a good, healthy mesh. So I'll pull this down. So you can see immediately we have this kind of a start of a t-shirt. Okay, and this way we don't have to get into ZBrush and then mask it out. We have a nice low poly. And I prefer this because then we can start working on UVs and getting the texture to sit on there correctly. And we'll go into that later. But right now we're just trying to make a simple shirt form, t-shirt. A lot of you have some very complex outfits. And so what I want to do is I want to cut one more line in here. This is kind of a little bit too simplified. So again, make sure your curves or your lines are nice and fluid. Make sure it has a nice flow. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my Control, hold down Control, and click, and I just added more quads. All right. Be very, very careful not to add too much geometry and keep this as simple as possible. All right. So I'm about to stop here, but you can see how easy this would be to extend out to the arms here. Go ahead and do it a little bit. I'm going to go too far. So he's wearing a very weird shirt. sometimes you have to use your Alt to move around. And I'm holding Shift to make those polygons snap into place. Okay? This is way too far over. Again, like I said, make sure it's nice and even. Right? There's a way of grabbing these loops and extending it out. I'm just going to go one more time. Sometimes this thing's not snap. I have to roll around until it snaps. Alt again. There we go. Click. And sometimes if it doesn't work, you can always hit Control Z, and then sometimes I go a little bit closer, click it, and then pull out the vertex or the point. Alright, so we're almost done here. Make sure you guys see every step here and making sure. Oops, I need two here. So you can move them after you click, and sometimes I move it in to get it to work. Sometimes it's a pain because it know where you actually want it. Can't read your mind, so sometimes you have to cheat. Make it bigger, make it smaller. Alright, so I'm not going to go too far here. Alright, again, adjust it, make sure everything has a nice flow. And again, you do want to look at other models, download them, and look at how the topology of a good mesh looks like. Okay, let's make sure it has a nice, good flow. And I'm going to go ahead and cut one more here. So a little bit more edging here. Now we do want to cut here, but you don't want to cut it, but we want to cut a couple of edge loops around the neck so we have a little bit more geometry. All right, so I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the live, disable it, and I'm going to go to right click, hold down right click object. Again, this will be new for a lot of you for Maya. So again, Alt is your friend. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. Please ask questions, and go ahead and turn off the model tool. I am going to go to my channel editor, and I'll go ahead and create a layer. And then with my body selected, not my shirt, but my body, I'm going to go ahead and right click, add selected objects. Alright. What I'll do is go ahead and hit edit and delete by type history, just in case it's still related to that plot tool, because now what we want to do is do a duplicate special. So we're going to duplicate this so it's perfectly symmetrical. So when you're sculpting, you don't have those issues where the dot is here and then the dot's down here. So we're going to make sure right off the bat, that's why I like getting into Maya, make sure everything is symmetrical. So we're going to go edit, and we're going to do duplicate special, if you can find it. It's right here. And you want to go to that dialog box, that little square. All right. So I've already done this before, but on our scale, on this is X, Y, and Z. On our X, we're going to put a negative and hit duplicate special. All right. Some of this stuff we want to do, you have to do a little bit of merging this stuff together. So we're going to go mesh, and we're going to go combine. And we should have worked a little bit further going into front view and making sure before we duplicated it, make sure these were in the center. We could have snapped that. So try to show that in class. What we want to do is select these like so, and I can go shift and hold, and we're going to go vertices, merge vertices, and right now I have it at 0.5. I'm going to go ahead and hit 0.0, not 0.5, but 0.5. Hit merge. Okay, so these will snap it together, and also it'll snap it so they are centered too. So we're going to kind of bypass that. Right, so just going to quickly, I'm hitting G, which is the last tool that we used in Maya. I said G, and really quickly we can create this great jacket, t-shirt. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Object. I'm going to see if I can do an Insert Edge loop tool. And I'm going to cut right here. Ah, that's not going to do it. All right, so what I'm going to do instead, I thought it was going to do a ring around the neck. So go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to go ahead and extrude edge. Triple click it, and it should select it all around. I'm going to hold down my shift and hold down my right and hit extrude edge. Right, and I'm going to pull this in. And you can see it's adding an edge loop. Okay, so this is kind of like the collar of the shirt. So I have an edge loop here, edge loop on the bottom, and I'm also going to do one here on the bottom of the shirt. Okay, this is a little bit of a high shirt. That's okay. So I'm going to go to right click edge, double click it or triple click it sometimes, and hold down my shift. And actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to Objects, select it, Shift, and Insert Edge Loop tool. Click on that and add it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. You can hit 4 for wireframe, 5 for shaded. And if you want to see what it looks like smooth, you can hit 3. All right. So let's go back to 1. That's the low poly. We can hit Shift and scale this up just a little bit, because when we bring this into Zbrush, we want this a little bit bigger than the actual character, so we can start sculpting it. All right, go ahead and save that, just in case it crashes. And we'll go ahead and export this out. So I'm going to go Export Selection, go to the dialog box, and you're going to go to File Type OBJ. If it's not there, what you want to do is go to Windows, and we're going to go to Setting Preferences, Plugin Manager. If you don't see that OBJ, 9 times out of 10, when you want to use it, when you don't want to use it, it's there, but make sure Object Export Bundle is loaded and auto-loaded. All right, if it's not, you're not going to have that option. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Export Selection. Okay, OBJ, Object Selection. And I'm going to call it A-man, A_man, and then hit Export Selection. Yes, I want to replace it. Thank you very much. I'm going to go back to my Zbrush that I had open earlier. All right, so there's our character. I'm going to go ahead, scale him up. Scale, we're just concerned about the upper body. All right, so what we want to do, I'm going to go ahead and hit cylinder. It's going to put the cylinder. I just don't want to import our shirt and then delete our character. So we're going to go ahead and hit import, and I'm going to grab my A_man. Okay, so we have, you can see these two characters. So you can click on here and oops, click on shirt, man, shirt, man. Right, so we want to get our shirt into the scene. So how do we do that? So make sure your gentleman is selected, and we're going to hit within the subtool, open that up so you know where it is. Right, and we're going to hit append. All right, oops, hit append again, and we're going to grab our shirt. Okay, you can see it's sitting on there, and what you got to go ahead and make sure you're using X, and you can start sculpting it. Make sure you're selecting the shirt, of course, and you have both on, turn the eye on. Right? As you select this, make sure X is on, so you're doing symmetry, and as you see, it's perfectly symmetrical. So I would start using your Move tool right off the bat. That's the one right here, and pull this out. Right? That way, basically, we're trying to get it so that the shirt is sitting above it. And you saw that we did this a little bit in Maya. We scaled it up just a little bit. But the best way to do it is just kind of pull this out with the Move tool. Right? So I'm not going to get too far with this. I want you guys to start sculpting and look at maybe a couple tutorials online on how to create those wrinkles and whatnot. Right? So right off the bat, once you do your move tool, then you want to go to your geometry and start going up on your subdivide if you want. All right, and then you start using your clay or probably your standard tool and using probably a little bit of smaller brushes and so forth. There's a lot of great tutorials online on how to make this shirt look realistic with all the different folds and creases in the shirt. Okay, so I'm not going to go too far with it, but I just want to make sure to show you how to get the basics of some clothing. So you can see how we can do with this with shoes and also like watches or apparel and so forth. All right, good luck.